November 1971. A Pakistani submarine slips out of Karachi harbor under total radio silence. Her orders: cross the entire length of India, submerged and undetected, and sink the most powerful warship in the Indian Navy. 20 days later, she vanishes into the Bay of Bengal, taking 93 men down with her. More than 50 years on, India and Pakistan still cannot agree on what actually killed her. This is the story of Pakistan's ghost submarine, PNS Ghazi. Before she was Ghazi, she was American. Built in the final months of the Second World War, she served the United States Navy as USS Diablo, a Tench-class submarine designed to hunt in the Pacific. By the time Pakistan came looking for a submarine fleet in the late 1950s, Diablo was surplus equipment, offered on lease under America's Cold War Military Assistance Program. In 1964, she was formally transferred to Pakistan and renamed Ghazi, an Arabic and Urdu word meaning warrior of the faith, a title normally reserved for a victorious defender of Islam. For a young Pakistan Navy with almost no underwater capability, Ghazi was a revelation. She was Pakistan's only submarine in the 1965 war with India, and even then, she earned a reputation as an aggressive, capable hunter, credited by Pakistani accounts with damaging an Indian destroyer off the Gujarat coast. By 1971, she was aging, running on maintenance facilities that were already stretched thin. But she remained the flagship of Pakistan's submarine force, and the only vessel with the range to strike deep into Indian waters. By the autumn of 1971, Pakistan was fighting two wars at once. In the west, its forces braced for an Indian offensive along the traditional battle lines with India. In the east, an insurgency in East Pakistan, modern Bangladesh, had turned into open war, with India backing Bengali guerrilla forces. Pakistani planners knew East Pakistan could not be reinforced by land. Whoever controlled the sea around the Bay of Bengal would decide how long East Pakistan could hold. That made one Indian ship the single most dangerous asset in the theater. INS Vikrant, India's only aircraft carrier, capable of launching airstrikes anywhere along the Bengal coast. Pakistan Naval Headquarters gave Ghazi a mission that was as bold as it was desperate: cross the entire subcontinent underwater, locate Vikrant, and sink her before she could be used against East Pakistan. On the 14th of November 1971, under the command of Commander Zafar Mohammed Khan, Ghazi slipped out of Karachi harbor. Her route was extraordinary. Rather than a short dash across the Arabian Sea, she was ordered around the entire southern tip of India, a journey of roughly 4,800 kilometers to reach the Bay of Bengal from the east, where Indian intelligence would least expect a Pakistani submarine to appear. For nearly 3 weeks, Ghazi ran largely in silence. Pakistani Naval Headquarters lost regular contact with her as she pushed south past Bombay, around Sri Lanka, and up into the Bay of Bengal. She was hunting Vikrant. What she didn't know was that Vikrant was no longer anywhere near her expected position. Indian naval intelligence in the Eastern Command, under Vice Admiral Nilakantha Krishnan, had picked up fragments of the picture, including, by some accounts, an intercepted signal asking about lubricant used only by submarines and minesweepers. It was enough to conclude that a Pakistani submarine was heading for the Bay of Bengal, hunting Vikrant at Visakhapatnam. Krishnan's response was one of the boldest deceptions of the entire war. He quietly moved Vikrant away from Visakhapatnam to a safer position near the Andaman Islands. In her place, he left a decoy. INS Rajput, an aging Second World War-era destroyer nearing the end of her service life. Rajput was ordered to generate exactly the kind of radio traffic a carrier group would produce, requests for fuel, rations, berthing arrangements, broadcast in codes just weak enough for Pakistani listeners to intercept and believe. As far as Ghazi's commanders could tell, Vikrant was sitting at anchor in Visakhapatnam harbor, waiting to be hit. Unable to locate her real target after searching further south, Ghazi turned back toward Visakhapatnam. Pakistani accounts describe her shifting to a secondary task, laying mines across the harbor mouth, both to block Indian ships and to give herself one more chance at striking whatever moved through that channel. On the night of the 3rd of December, 1971, Rajput was ordered out of Visakhapatnam harbor, with all navigational lights and aids switched off. Shortly before midnight, her crew picked up a sonar contact near the harbor approach. Believing it to be a submarine, Rajput's commanding officer ordered depth charges dropped. Minutes later, in the early hours of the 4th of December, 2 massive underwater explosions tore through the darkness off the Visakhapatnam coast. By morning, PNS Ghazi was gone. All 93 men aboard, 11 officers and 82 sailors, were lost with her. What exactly caused those explosions remains the most disputed question of the entire war at sea. India's official account credits Rajput's depth charge attack with the kill, the first submarine sunk in combat by the Indian Navy, and its opening victory of the war. Pakistani naval reviews have told a different story, concluding the loss more likely came from an internal explosion or the accidental detonation of the very mines Ghazi was laying near the harbor mouth. The evidence that might have settled the argument didn't survive either. Indian sources have acknowledged that key investigation records from the period were destroyed years later, and Pakistan's own records from the mission remain closed. What both sides agree on is simpler and grimmer. Ghazi went down fast, at night, without a single distress signal reaching home. Whatever sank her, the effect on the war was immediate. With Pakistan's only ocean-going submarine destroyed, the Bay of Bengal was effectively open to the Indian Navy. The Vikrant's battle group, no longer threatened, moved freely along the coast and launched repeated airstrikes on East Pakistan's ports: Chittagong, Cox's Bazar, Mongla, and Chalna, cutting off supply and reinforcement by sea. Less than 2 weeks later, on the 16th of December 1971, Pakistani forces in the east surrendered, and East Pakistan became the independent nation of Bangladesh. Ghazi's loss did not decide that outcome on its own, but it removed the one weapon that might have complicated an Indian naval campaign that, by December, was already running largely unopposed. The wreck of PNS Ghazi has never left Visakhapatnam harbor. Lying broken on the seabed, it was identified by Indian divers within days of the sinking. In the decades since, both Pakistan and the United States, as the submarine's original builder, have separately requested access to recover her. India has refused both requests, treating the wreck as a war grave and leaving it undisturbed out of respect for the men still entombed inside. In recent years, Indian Navy deep submergence teams have resurveyed the site using modern rescue vehicles, confirming her position without disturbing the wreck itself. 93 men never came home from that mission, and to this day, neither government has released the full record of what actually happened to them in the final minutes before those 2 explosions. PNS Ghazi crossed an entire subcontinent in near total silence, hunting a target that had already slipped away and was destroyed by an enemy who may never have actually seen her. Whether she was sunk by Indian depth charges or by her own mines, one fact hasn't moved in 50 years. Somewhere off the coast of Visakhapatnam, 93 sailors are still down there, guarding a mystery neither nation has fully agreed to solve. Where every conflict has a cause, every border has a cost, and every war leaves something behind. If you want more stories like this one, Forgotten missions, unsolved battles, the war's history almost left behind. Subscribe to War and Military History and hit the bell so you don't miss what's coming next.